Shalom, shalom. This is Soldier Yazanaya coming at you with another video. This one's going to be titled, They Bring Forth their children to the slaughter, and they do worse than their fathers before them. Something to that effect, something to that magnitude. But I'm basically going to go in to this child that died at that festival last week. He was fighting for his life, and he passed away. And the only reason why he was there is because his father brought him, right? And then but ended up passing out in the crowd, and then the child ended up getting trampled and died. So I have a plethora of scriptures I'm gonna go into that we're supposed to be repenting in these last days, right? We're not supposed to be walking in the iniquities of our fathers, man, right? We're supposed to be, rectifying our sins and repenting in these last days, man, and throwing sackcloth and dust upon our heads, man, and weeping and wailing and lamenting ourselves, man, right? For the sins that we've transgressed against the Lord, and earnestly giving heed to our salvation, man. Right, so before again, I give all praise, all glory unto Yahweh QAM YASHARAHLA. Again, I'm Soldier Yazanaya, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into this. So the title of the video is 9-year-old boy fighting for his life after being crushed at Astroworld. And this boy actually died, right? I was planning on doing a video on this maybe yesterday or the day before, because I had done a previous video of the festival, right, rebuking that wicked assembly. So I had came across this video. I'm like, oh, this is a whole separate video of a man and his son, and you know what I mean, and they went to the festival, and they're trying to have a good time, and then the boy ended up in the hospital. Now he's dead. So I'm like, let me just put out this video now. Oh, and the boy's name was Ezra. Boy's name was Ezra, right? That's how the Most High isn't playing in these games, man. This is a major sign, man, that we're supposed to be turning to the Lord, or else the Most High is not going to spare old or young, right? So we're gonna go ahead and bring this one out.
Is very difficult to tell. This 9-year-old, his name is Ezra Blunt, and he went to Astroworld with his father looking to have a good time. I want to show you some photos that his father just sent to me here just a little while ago, showing him and his 9-year-old son at Astroworld. That is Ezra Blunt that you see there on the screen, a 9-year-old innocent boy who loves Travis Scott like his father. Now, these photos, as I mentioned, they were taken on Friday.
Hear what she said? She said, who loves Travis Scott like his father, right? We're going to go ahead and bring out this first precept. It's going to be Salaki. So we're going to get Proverbs 22, verse 6. And this is the classic, man. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. You see that? You're supposed to be teaching your sons and your daughters these laws, statutes, and commandments, man. You're supposed to be teaching about feast days, holy assemblies, right? Not the assemblies in the congregation of the wicked and of the dead, right? You're supposed to be teaching your child these the knowledge of Yahweh QAM YASHARAHLA, your heritage, man, right? Which is life, right? If a man so do, right, he shall live, man, right? He shall even live in them, right? We're supposed to be living in these acts, man, right? In these righteous acts, not turning to the left hand, to the right hand, right? But turning to Yahweh QAM YASHARAHLA and seeking, Yahweh Shai's face, man, in these last days. But this man thought it was prudent to bring his child to a blasphemous and very evil and wicked assembly, and guess what? His child ended up dying because of that, right? He basically gave up his child to Satan. Basically, what's the word? Basically sacrificed his child, man, to the devil, right? And the Most High wasn't playing, man, right? For that wicked act, He requires blood for that, man. Right? Blood is required of thee. Right? Come on. Let's get the book of Luke, chapter, was it 12? Go verse 19. It says, I will say to my soul, soul, thou, soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said unto him, thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then who shall those things be which thou hast provided? So is he that layeth up riches for himself, and is not rich toward God. You see that? These individuals were not rich towards God, man. Right? They were at ease, right? They were eating, drinking, and being merry, right? Because they laid up riches. They thought that was being rich. That was being affluent in some way, right? All manner of superfluity, man. Right? Thinking that gain was godliness. That going to the Travis Scott concert was godliness. But guess what? Your soul was required at that show, right? The blood was required, right? And even in Ezekiel 3, was it 18? When I say to the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way to save his life, the same wicked shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hands. So the blood is required at this man's hands, man, right? Because he wasn't teaching his son, he wasn't training up his son in the way he should go, right? Perpetuating a false righteousness on the earth and a false eminence, which ultimately led to the death of this man's child, man. Right? Let's get Isaiah 14 and 20. Where are we? Isaiah 14, verse 20. And it says, thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thine people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. You see that? You slayed your own people, right? You spiritually slayed your son, man, right? By bringing him forth to the slaughter, man, right? Just like Ephraim did, right? Ephraim, right, of the northern kingdom was bringing forth their children to the sacrifice, man, right? We can get that a little later on, but right, the seed of evildoers should not be renowned. So his seed, right? He's an evildoer, right? This man walking in pagan customs of rioting and feasts of Bacchus, right? His seed wasn't renowned, because guess what? It was cut off, man. Shall never be renowned, right? The Most High won't suffer these rebellious children to live, right? Shall not suffer a witch to live, because rebellion is just like witchcraft in the scriptures, man. It's the same sin as witchcraft, right? Fashioning things after your own likeness, right? Doing as you please, living after the lusts of the flesh, right? Manifesting and all this crap, man, that you learn from the damn white man, right? And from the heathens round about you, right? So his seed was cut off, man. So we're gonna continue with the video.
Hours before what became a violent crowd surge during Travis Scott's performance. It was an exciting time for this father and his son. They came from Dallas for the show, and as I mentioned, loved Travis Scott. The child, he was on his father's shoulders, and he actually fell from his dad's shoulders. I want you guys to take a listen.
See that? The father wasn't able to uphold his son, man, right? In this truth, man, you're supposed to show yourself a man. You're supposed to be, what's the word? You're supposed to be your hands and your knees are supposed to be strengthened in this thing, man. Right? You should be able to withstand and uphold everything, man. Right? But in this wicked assembly, right, you weren't able to stand strong in this thing, right? And that led to the death of your child, man. Right? So it's It's not a light thing to turn to the Lord, man. Right? This is what you're supposed to be doing in these last days, right? And not failing through strength, failing for strength, right? In a time that you need it the most, right? We're gonna go into that a little bit. Let's get the book of Isaiah. Just wait. Let's get the book of Isaiah, chapter 35, verse 3. It says, "Strengthen ye the weak hands and comfort the feeble knees. Say to them that are fearful, say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance, even God with a recompense. He will come and save you." You see that? The Most High. All right, we'll stop at just 3. The Most High wasn't there with this man in the time that he needed him, man. Right? It says, "Strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees." This is what's supposed to be, you're supposed to be bearing fruit of and bearing witness to, man. Right? And witnessing happen in your daily life. Right? You're supposed to be growing strong, waxing mightier and mightier, man. Right? But in the time that you needed that might, right, it was taken away from you. Right? And you brought forth your children to the slaughter, man. Right? Let's get Proverbs 24 and verse 10. It says, "If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small." This man had a very small strength, man. Right? If any man lean upon, the staff of Egypt, he will stumble and fall. Let's bring that up. It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 36 and verse 6, and it reads, "Lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed on Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh the king of Egypt to all that trust in him." You see that? So if you're trusting in Egypt for your strength, man, and you're trusting in these wicked assemblies, sin and righteousness that this wicked white man perpetuates in the earth, you're just gonna get pierced through, man, right? Because his staff is broken, man, right? The reed is broken and feeble, and there's no foundation, man. There's cracks and holes in it, right? So this isn't something to be strengthening yourself in, right? Let's get the book of Isaiah, chapter 8, verse 14. It says, "And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both the house of Israel, for a gin and for the snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken." You see that? Because he's offended by this gospel, man. Because he wouldn't have been in that wicked assembly if he actually believed on Yahweh Shai, man, right? And since he didn't, this chat's going crazy, Slakia. And since he didn't, right, his son was cut off for that fact, man, right? Right, and this is literally Esau still dashing our babies against the stone, if you can receive it, man, right? Let's get the book of Psalms, chapter 27, verse 1. This is heartbreaking, man, right? Our people shouldn't have to be going through this any longer, man. Let's get chapter 1. "For the Lord is my light and my salvation. Who shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" You see that? When the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, come upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. So you stumbled and fell, man, and you're a foe to the Most High God, because his son Yahweh Shai says, "Whoever doesn't gather with me scatters abroad," right? And he says in Luke the 19th chapter that those my enemies would not that I should reign over them, bring them hither and slay them here before me, right? So this is just a prelude, man, right, to sons and daughters dying for the iniquities of their fathers, right? Let's continue on with this with this video. I just wanted to go into that a little bit. So I'm going to switch.
And he actually fell from his dad's shoulders. I want you guys to take a listen to how his grandfather described exactly what happened there as he had his son up there to protect him from the crowd surge.
And my son couldn't breathe because of all the pressure that was being applied to him. And he passed out. And when he passed out, Ezra fell into the crowd. And he was trampled really bad.
He has the cutest dimple. He loves to sing. He is so outgoing. He loves music and he loves skateboards, and he's just a normal child. He was spending time with his dad and he loves that.
Chauncey and Myra, how this ended for both this son and his father is absolutely tragic. His family also tells me that here at Texas Children's Hospital, he was listed as a John Doe because when his father passed out, when he regained consciousness, his son had already been taken to safety. So you can just imagine the panic that this family had. His father searching for his son in this crowd of people that were pushing people and trampling over people, not knowing that he was already here at the hospital. His son was severely hurt.
So you see that, right? That's the curses right there, man. Right? We're gonna go into that Deuteronomy 28 and 54, right? Because he has an evil. This is having an evil eye towards your child, right? And that's your child being given to another people, man. Right? You gave your child up, right? So let's get before we go into that, we'll get Sirach 11 and 28. So this is the book Slakia. We'll go Sirach. This book of Sirach, chapter 11, verse 28, and it reads, "Judge none blessed before his death, for a man shall be known in his children." Right? This wicked man, was known in his child, man. And guess how he was known? Through the death of his child. That's now his renown, right? And it says the seed of evildoers shall never be renowned, right? So this is how, this reproach, right, is how his father's legacy is going to be known now, right? Through the wickedness of his heir, right? Them enjoying the music of this demon, right? This is now how his father is known. This is now his legacy. This is now his name, right? Let's get the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13 and 11. It's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 11. It says, "When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put off childish things." Right? And we're going to switch gears a little bit here. This man is a child, right? He's supposed to be putting off these childish things, right? These rodeo fests, right? This even the people saying this is no place for a kid, bro, right? But he's living in this utopic society, right? Where we think that anything can go, right, and nothing can go wrong, right? You have this merriness about you, right? But your soul was required of you, right? Pertaining to the book of what was that? The book of was it Luke, right? So his soul was required of him, right? So he's supposed to be putting off these childish things, wanting to be a damn rock star, and then leaving that as an inheritance to for your child, right? That was just wickedness, man. You brought forth your child to the slaughter, man. Right, let's go to the book of 1 Kings. It's book of 1 Kings, chapter 3, verse 11. It says, was it 3 and 11? 2 and 3. So it says, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God to walk in his ways. Oh, go 2, yeah. I go to my weight of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and shew thyself a man. Right? You're supposed to be shewing yourself a man in this day and age, man. In this time that we live in, right? Most High is saying, who shall stand up for me, man? You're supposed to be a man in this thing, girding up your loins, right? As a man, like the book of Job says, man. Right? Be thou strong, therefore, and shew thyself a man, and keep this is how you prove that you're a man, not damn dripping to the from head to toe, and then being drowned in a sea of people where no one can even see your drip, right? That's just folly, man, right? That's effeminate, right? And that's just wicked, man, right? Be thou strong, therefore, and shew thyself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, whithersoever thou turnest thyself. See that? Wherever you turn yourself, this is where your prosperity is supposed to lie, right? This is how you avoid your children dying on you, man, right? By not joining yourself unto the enemy, man, right? And to wicked niggas, right? That have sold themselves and made a covenant with death, man, right? With death, you were at a covenant, and that's why that blood was required of you, because you were in death rejoicing, man, as if this is your rest, which it is not, like the book of Micah 2:10 says, right? So let's get the book of Deuteronomy chapter 5. So it's back up here. Deuteronomy chapter 5 and verse 9, and it says, thou shalt not bow down thyself unto them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. Right? The Lord God was jealous, man. Because guess what? If that was, they didn't make mention that he had any siblings. So if that was your firstborn child, man, that is the Lord's, man. That's the Lord's portion, man. Sanctify all the firstborn, man, for they are mine. Right? That is the Lord's son that you caused to rejoice in all wickedness, man. Right? And it says, shewing mercy unto the thousands of them that love me and keep my command. I bet you're begging and crying. That's what the news anchor was saying. He was crying and in disarray, right? Screaming, saying, where's my child? Where's my child? Your child is sit up in the hospital in the care of the dirty old white man, right? Dying because of you, man, right? That's blood on your hands, man, right? So it says, the Most High God was jealous, man, and he visited your iniquity on your child, right? And that's why your child was put to death that day, man, right? So let's get the book of Job, chapter 4 and 7. It says, remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off, right? Because the whole lot of them were wicked, man, right? Say, and look at the 8th verse. Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity sow wickedness and reap the same. So that's exactly what you were plowing that day, and you reaped that iniquity, and it was recompensed unto your own head, man. So that child wasn't innocent, man, right? Because he was being trained up incorrectly, right? And the Lord required him, saying, you're not doing your job. I am the father. This boy is mine. And he took it, man. And it says when it also says when the soul dies, it returns back to the Lord who gave it, right? So the Most High said, give me back my son, man, because you're not doing a good job, right? So let's get the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6. Chapter 6, verse, what was that, 6 and 7? Verse 7, and thou shalt teach them diligently, Salakia, verse 6, and these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. You see that? This is what you're supposed to be doing, right? You're supposed to be teaching your child when you do all things, man, right? When you're talking, when you're walking, when you're in the house, when you're sitting down, when you're eating, when you're communing, right? But there was no talk of righteousness, so you were cut off, right? Because that's not innocent, man. It wasn't just a boy. That's what it's a boy and his father. You see that boy and his father. No, man. It was a wicked nigga training up a wicked nigga, and and one of the wicked niggas died, and that's just how it was, in layman's terms, man. Right? There's no salvation for the unrighteous, man. Amos 9:11, man. All the sinners of my people shall be cut off, man. Shall be rooted up out of the world, right? And none of them are innocent, right? So let's continue on with this video.
Family tells me that all of his organs are damaged here. His brain has swelling that has progressively gotten worse over the day. So his full recovery will be a miracle for them, and they're clinging on to hope and prayer that little 9-year-old Ezra Blunt does make a full recovery.
See that? And the Most High is not gonna hear these prayers, man, right? Because we're just gonna go into it, man. I'm not even gonna filibuster out here. Let's bring it out. Book of John. This is sad, man. This is really sad. This book of John, chapter 9, verse 31, says, "Now we know that God hears not sinners, but if any man be a worshiper of God and does his will, him he hears." Right? So the Most High is not all this. I'm praying, we're hoping. Most High isn't dealing with these sinners, man. Right? With you sinners, with you idolaters. Right? That's all you were doing. Right? In that place. And now you're gonna cry unto the Lord after the time of your repentance has passed, and the Most High God's now requiring blood for the sin. Right? He's not gonna hear you. Right? You chose the pastors you wanted, man. Right? Let's get Jeremiah 11 real quick. Jeremiah 11, verse 10. And it says, "They are turned back to the iniquities of their forefathers, which refused to hear my words. And they went after other gods to serve them. The house of Israel and the house of Judah have broken my covenant, which I made with their fathers." You see that? Neither pray, verse 14, "Therefore pray not for this people, neither lift up a cry for them, for I will not hear them in the time that they cry unto me for their trouble." You see that? He's not hearing your prayers, man. Right? Let's get the book of Proverbs 28 and 9. Right? He's not listening to evildoers, because the Most High is not unbalanced, man. Right? He's just gonna exact his judgment unto you, right? And then he's gonna hear the prayers of the righteous, man. That's a sweet smell and savor to the Most High God in heaven, man. I want to get the, what is that, second Esdras? Second Esdras, I believe it's what is it? Second Esdras 9, verse 11. It says, "And they," let's see, bear with me. Let's go verse 9. "Then shall they be in pitiful case, which have not abused my way, which have now abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments." Right? These people are lamenting for their child, man. Right? And rightfully so. But the Most High God did that, man. Because unto the Most High God belongs the issues of death. "For such as in their life receive benefits and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law while they had yet liberty, and when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it." Right? But I bet you if he passed a prophet of the Most High God, you know what I mean, an elect man of God, right? And he said, "Don't bring your child there," he would have despised it, right? And I'm sure everyone's heard of this truth, man. Right? So I'm sure one way or another, the Most High God called out, to that man and to his son, right? And so forth went the judgment, right? The same must know it after death by pain, right? And that boy basically died that night, right? And then he knew it by death afterwards, right? He died, and then he got the pain while he was dying, man, right? So, not to sound deep, but that's basically what transpired there, right? So let's go on. Let's continue with the words of the Lord.
They went to the Travis Scott concert. My son had Ezra on his shoulders at the concert, and my son couldn't breathe because of all the pressure that was being applied to him, and he passed out. And when he passed out, Ezra fell into the crowd, and he was trampled really bad, And when my son came to, they had already taken Ezra to the hospital, and he was listed as a John Doe because nobody knew his name, and the father was still at the venue in the medical facilities. So I guess my biggest thing is, how could this happen in the city of Houston? When we go to concerts and different events, we expect safety and security. And
you hear what this wicked Negro just said? This bald-headed Negro just said, right? He says he expected safety and security at this venue, man. Right? This video is full of so much little tacks and tidbits, man. This video got like 200,000 views, man. Right? It's full of all these little hints. And this child was clearly sacrificed. Something's really, really wrong about this whole situation, man. Right? So that's what they're expecting out of their state there, right? Their state, their venue, police force, all of these things. They're expecting safety and security, right? They're calling for that, crying out for it, right? So we're gonna go into it in the scriptures because they were they didn't receive that benefit, right? As 2 Ezra 9 was saying. All right, let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 5 and 7. It says, "Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off day to day," right? You're supposed to be hastening while you still have the opportunity, while the windows of heaven are still dropping down in His dew, right? When in the day of before vegetation, in this grace period, you're supposed to not be tarrying, man, right? Tarrying, meaning abiding, man, abiding in the congregation of the dead, man, right? Choosing the lusts of the flesh rather than the graces and mercies and the laws and commandments of the Lord, right? The heavenly manna. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and thy security. So suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed. You see that? In the security, in the hands of that meek, feeble-ass security that was there, right? He's calling, there should have been more peace. There should have been more security. No, nigga, right? There was no security there, right? It was all just wrath of the Lord, and it came suddenly, right? As a whirlwind, right? And the Most High is laughing at this, man. Because guess what? You didn't want to listen, right? You didn't want to humble down, get this living waters, right? And do as the Lord said to do, right? Because guess what? If you did, your son would have been alive. In thy security, thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. See that? That is the judgment of the Lord. Let's get 1 Thessalonians 5 and 3. Again, all these peace and security scriptures. So it's 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3 says, let's see. Let's go 2. For your this book of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 2, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so comes as a thief in the night. See that? It's coming quickly, suddenly. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman with child, right? These people are lamenting, grabbing their bowels, man, right? I forgot where it said it, but it said, why do I see men as women in travail, right? Well, that's obviously for a World War III coming up, right? And nuclear fire, nuclear bombs. But, that can apply to the tribulations, right? And the judgments as before time, right? Being poured out upon Israel again, man, and upon the earth again. As travail upon a woman, and they shall not escape. You see that? You weren't able to escape. Your child was trapped. You were trapped, right? The damn near the father, right? He almost didn't even get out of there, man. Right? His breath was failing him. His spirit was failing him, man. Right? The breath in his nostrils. The Most High almost took his spirit that he gave. Right? He almost took it right back. Took your breath away. Right? Let's get the book of Judges. Book of Judges, chapter 10, verse 13 says, Yet ye have forsaken me and served other gods, wherefore I will deliver you no more. Go and cry unto the gods which ye have chosen. Let them deliver you in the time of your tribulation. Right? Because this is I believe this is Joshua speaking here, right? The congregation of Israel, right? And Israel doing what Israel does, seeking after their gods. It even says gods of the Zidonians, the Amalekites, all these decrepit creatures on earth, right? They're eating of their fruit, man, right? So it says, go cry to them go cry to the gods you have chosen, and let them deliver you in the time of your trouble, right? And they weren't there to deliver you, man. They were there to reap, to take your soul, man, right? They're there to murder and kill you, right? The angels on the left-hand side. So, in that peace and security spirit, man, that's what these people are in, right? They're calling for reform. They're calling for this, that, and the third. They're calling for, justice. They're calling for all this peace and security, right? But they're not going to receive it. All they're doing right now is just crying to the gods that they chose, right? Worshiping the beast. So let's continue on.
All the videos I've seen, I didn't see any security. I saw very little security. If the concert was going to be allowed to continue, the police should have stepped in and stopped it. When the first person was injured or deceased, the police should have stepped in and stopped it. Someone should have stepped in and stopped it. And I just think there should be some accountability, because for my grandson to end up the way he did, something terrible happened. He's a small, innocent child. He didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve it at all. He's just coming into town to see one of his favorite artists, and to be trampled.
See, yeah, he's in that spirit that he didn't deserve it. He was innocent, right? He was this innocent little child. But the Most High lays up that iniquity, man. Right? The Most High says, no one perished being innocent. Your child wasn't innocent, right? He was walking after the lust of his forefathers, right? And that's exactly that's the judgment that he got, right? So let's continue on.
Like that, and really left in the hospital with no one knowing where he was. That's heartbreaking. And us as citizens of Houston, we don't deserve it, and my grandson certainly didn't deserve it.
I can't imagine. I mean, I saw the photos. Ezra's tiny. These people who trampled him had no care for human life, even a baby. He's a baby.
He's a baby. Just going to a concert to have a good time with his father.
On his dad's shoulders, and his dad passed out.
Yeah. And
trying to keep Ezra safe?
He was trying to keep Ezra safe, but as we've seen in the videos, with him holding Ezra up, that left him vulnerable down. So he got really squeezed and he couldn't breathe. He just told me, Dad, I couldn't breathe, and I passed out. Well, there should have been some kind of security or some kind of measures to stop that kind of thing from happening. You know, people come in from out of town, they don't know what to expect at a Travis Scott concert, and he kind of got walked into a situation where it shouldn't have been.
Are they from out of town?
Yes.
Oh, where are they from?
Tristan is from Tyler, and Ezra lives in Dallas.
Wow. So does he live with Ezra full time?
No, he stays with his mother.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Wow. Tell us about Ezra's injuries. What's going on?
Ezra has extensive injuries. He has damage to his kidney, has damage to his lungs, has damage to his heart, swelling on his brain. During the incident, had cardiac arrest. So had a 9-year-old child had a heart attack because he was being trampled so severely.
What are the doctors saying? Is he going to survive?
It's up in the air right now. But we're praying that he makes a full recovery. And we have our faith in the doctors that are treating.
This wicked nigga, man. This man's a wicked, wicked nigga. You hear what he just said? Man just said, we have our faith in the doctors, not in God. And he's as it's going to go on to say, he's not going to say that. He's not even going to say we have our faith in God. He says that we have our faith in the doctors, right? So he's he's about to get a heavy rebuke on that, right? Because it's your fault, right? Even in the calamity and the death and the dying at that moment in time, because the child's dead now, but even in that moment in time, you had the chance to even say that we have our trust in God, but he chose to say we have our trust in the doctors, right? And so was the fate of your son, right? So we're gonna go into that real quick. So this coon's saying he's putting his hope in these doctors, man, right? But they weren't able to do a damn thing, right? Because he's ultimately deceived by these miracles that these doctors had power to do, right? In the sight of the beast, man, right? In the sight of this beast system, in the sight of this colossal colossal empire that they had built, man, right? So he's deceived in his mind and in his heart. Let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 38:15. It says, he that sinneth before his maker, let him fall into the hand of the physician, right? Because it's not a proud thing to need a physician, man, right? And it's not a hopeful thing to be putting your hands in the works of man, because it will surely fall. You're supposed to be putting your hope and trust, even in this time, in the time that a little child is dying. You're supposed to be putting that hope and that faith in the Lord, man. See that? So let's get Jeremiah 17:5. Because for this sin of his father, that's why the Most High sent his ass to the physician, right? It's not a thing to be, trusting in, right? So first and foremost, supposed to be putting God first, man, right? There's no hope in the physician. There's only hope in the Lord, who controls the physician. Who actually, let's go back to that, because they'll say that, right? Sirach 38. 38:1. Honor a physician with the honor due unto him for the uses which ye may have of him, for the Lord hath created him, right? You're serving the creation more than the creator, and your child got judged for that, even in the day of his declining, right? So let's get Jeremiah 17 real quick. Let's get these off. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 5. Thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusts in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart depart from the Lord. See, your heart departed, man, right? And you're cursed for that. It says, cursed be the man. And that curse got poured out, man, by way of judgment. Let's get Revelation 2:21. the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 21, and it reads, "And I gave her space to repent of her fornication, and she repented not." Right? This is ultimately speaking about Babylon the Great. But these people are modern day Babylonians, man, and they're not repenting right along with the God that they have chose. Right? So it's over for them, man. There's no repenting. Even in the day of your calamity, you're going out swinging, cursing at the Most High. Let's get Jeremiah 5. Screaming unto the gods that you have made, and who to where there's no breath in their mouth, in their nostrils, and they see not, hear not. This book of Jeremiah, chapter 5, verse 31. The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests bear rule by their means, and my people love to have it so. What will you do in the end thereof? See, our people are loving this, man. Right? This is the, oh, they got into the hands of the doctors. Now there's hope. Now there's hope in the doctors. Nah, man, there's no hope. And guess what? Your child. I don't even know what's going on here. And your child knows that now, right? In the afterlife, right? After death by pain, man. Let's get a book of Isaiah, chapter 3. Isaiah 3, verse 1. It says, "For behold, the Lord of hosts, doeth take away from Jerusalem." Oh, Salakia. What is it? 3. Salakia. I think I got the wrong verse here. Salakia. Yeah, it's supposed to be Isaiah 2, verse 22. It says, "Cease ye from men, whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of?" Right? There's nowhere to account him for, man. He has no place, the wicked men in this earth, man. And you Babylonians, and you 2/3. It's supposed to be ceasing from these people, man, whose breath is in his nostrils, man. His eyes are in the ends of the earth. That's it. His thoughts are carnal and fleshly. And while your son's spirit is departing from his body, I would think you would even fathom to hope in the Lord and trust in the Lord. But you're too busy out here cooning, man. And your child was required this day, because the child died today. So let's continue on with the video.
Him, and we just wish that something more would be done, because no family deserves or should be going through this.
What answers do you guys have right now?
What answers do we have?
What questions? I'm sorry.
The questions we have is...
1 second.
Okay. The questions we have is, if the mayor said there was 500 policemen there, all the video I seen, I didn't see 500 policemen. If the organizers of the event said there was 700 security, I didn't see 700 security. I saw children running through their gates, trampling each other. That's what I saw. So there should be some accountability, and we want to know, why wasn't this policed and supervised the way that it should have been?
Your grandson could lose his life. How does that make you feel?
I'm heartbroken. I'm still trying to process it. My son is trying to process it, because he's feeling guilt because he took him to the concert. And we're just praying as a family that he recovers, and that's all we can do, is stay prayerful as a family.
Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I guess my biggest thing is, and we're all on social media, I just want there to be some accountability. I've seen apologies online that didn't look sincere from people who participated in that event. If you feel so bad, why aren't you down here at the hospital checking on your fans? Why would you keep letting
See that? Even while your son was dying at the time, you're still saying, I want them to be accountable, and I want. He's basically talking to Travis Scott here. Why aren't you down here checking on your fans? Like, that's gonna do anything, man. Right? That's not gonna do nothing to save your child, man. Right? And this little boy wasn't innocent, man. I'll keep harping on that notion. He was not innocent in this, right? And there's not going to be any accountability for you, black man, Israelite man, right? So-called black man. We've been dealing with this since the dawn of time, man. Right? Let's continue on.
Concerts be this way, and people get injured. No one should be injured to make $1. No family should have to lose their child, their grandchild, because you're trying to make $1. Safety should have been provided for his fans, and that's all I have to say about that.
And that's the video. So, so there's not going to be any accountability for you, black man, so-called black man, right? Since the dawn of time, we've been dealing with these atrocities happening to our people because you refuse to acknowledge your hand in the matter, right? And do something about it, which is cleaving unto the house of David, right? And doing the law, statutes, and commandments that the Most High has given us, right, for our good, right? This is the book of Ecclesiastes. I'm going to get these last precepts off, and then we're going to close out this book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 11, verse 10. Therefore, remove from thy heart and put away evil from thy flesh. See that? Remove sorrow from thy heart, man, and put away evil from thy flesh, right? You're supposed to be putting off the old man, right? And cleaving unto the Lord, right? For childhood and youth are vanity. All that they were partaking in, man, was vanity. Thus saith the Lord, right? It was all just an imagination and covetousness, right? And just childhood vanity, right? The child being vain, and the grown ass man, the father, right, being vain, right? And the father says he's guilty because I brought him. Yeah, you should feel guilty, man, because you brought your child to the slaughter. You offered him up. Let's get the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 54, says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children. You see that? That was an evil eye he had toward his son, right? He thought it was, what's the word? He thought it was, it was just a time for rejoicing, right? But we're in a time of nation building, man, of plucking down, not building up. The only thing that should be being built up is your brother and your children in these laws and commandments, but not building and tarrying in the way of death, man, right? And that's all that was being done in that vessel, man, right? Which he shall leave, and he left his child that day, man, right? So that he, let's see. Yeah, that's good on 54. Let's get Jeremiah 32, 35. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 32, and verse 35, and it reads, and they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire unto Molech. And there's a little snippet of that head of Travis Scott, and it was basically a what's the word? It was basically a parallel and a comparison um, between the head of Molech from an ancient I would say ancient, but a depiction of the head of Molech and sacrifices of people going into its mouth, and Travis Scott's mouth and likewise. So it's basically the same thing. He offered up, caused his child to pass through the fire, which is death, and offered him up to Molech, man, right? And Baal and all these paganistic gods, because that's what they were worshiping. They weren't worshiping Yahweh, right? They weren't worshiping Yahweh through his son Yahweh Shai. All they were doing was rejoicing in wickedness, man, right? Going back to the vomit, man, which I commend them not, which I commanded them, not. Neither came it into my mind that they should do this abomination, right, to cause Judah to sin. And that was Judah, man. That was Judah there. And he caused Judah to sin, man, right? Judah caused Judah, man. Travis Scott caused Judah, right? Let's get Wisdom of Solomon 3:16. Sad, man. Real sad. This Book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 16, it reads, As for the children of adulterers, they shall not come to their perfection, and the seed of an unrighteous bed shall be rooted out." Right? And that whole bed, that whole lot, that whole name is unrighteous. Just look how the grandfather is speaking about his son and his son's son. Right? They're turned back to the iniquities of their fathers, man. And that whole bed is defiled. So guess what? They got rooted out. Right? Got plucked up. That little sapling, man. Got plucked up. Because of riotous living, right? And sin. And dwelling in the old man still. It's Book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 4. And it reads, "And you fathers, provoke not your children to wrath." And you're provoking them to wrath. You offer them up to the wrath of God, man. Right? But bring them up in the nurture and the admonition of the Lord. Right? This is what we are supposed to be doing, right? In this flesh, man. Nurturing up our children, growing our nation, yielding ourselves servants to the Lord, and offering up our bodies as a living sacrifice to God, right? Not a living sacrifice to damn Molech, as you did, and you provoked the Lord to wrath, and you provoked your child to wrath, right? And you didn't bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord. Because what does the Lord love? He loves them that love him. And to love the Lord, to be of his love, right, is to keep the commandments according to 1 John. Right, so let's get last one, Joshua 24. It's the book of Joshua, chapter 24, verse 15, and it reads, let's see. "And if it seem evil unto you to serve the Lord, choose you this day whom you will serve, whether the gods which your fathers served that were on the other side of the flood, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land ye dwell. But as for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh." You see that? So you're supposed to be choosing in these last days who you'll serve. And they chose, man. Right? They were lukewarm. Right? And they got spewed out. Doesn't matter if you weren't intentionally, or you weren't aware that you were serving. You were still serving, and you got put out for that. But as for Joshua and his house, as for me and my house, as for the nation of Israel, we're gonna serve the Lord, man. So I'm gonna close on that. I'm gonna give all praise, all glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, QAM YASHARAHLA, death to America, death to you 2/3, man.